Morning, good afternoon, good evening. I've been having endless emails, WhatsApp messages, and so forth. And they're emanating not only from the Zanu PF diehards, but the opposition leaders and their diehard supporters. Let's start with the definition. Democracy is the government of the people, for the people, by the people. If we accept that definition, then we've got also to expand it and say the people, for democracy to work, the people must be educated, knowledgeable, objective, and most important of all, diligent in holding those in public office to account. They are elected representatives. They must hold them to account. Holding those elected officials to account does not mean holding those in the other party. You hold also those in your own party to account. All elected officials must be held to account. And on that breath, it's also important to understand those elected officials are not only accountable to their party members or those who voted for them, they are accountable to everybody. Because what you do once you are in public office affects everybody. Those who voted for you as much as those who did not vote for you. It is disappointing that we find ourselves again and again having to refer to that definition. One of the most annoying things here is that even those opposition leaders who should know better, they are the ones at the forefront who believe that their leaders are not accountable. I've had a number of WhatsApp messages flying up and down, in this particular case, with one CCC official, Chief Soswe, the voice of Change Radio. And in one of these, the argument was, or rather the subject was, did Nelson Chamisa lie about plugging all the vote-rigging loopholes in the 2023 elections? And instead of getting a straightforward reply, or if he so wished, ignoring it and not answering it, I was subjected to all manner of abuse. I find this totally unacceptable. We cannot keep on pretending that Chamisa did not lie. He lied. We cannot accept that Chamisa should not be held to account. Of course he is accountable. And yet when somebody tries to hold a public official to account, then they are being subjected to all manner of abuses. In this particular instance, our friend, Chief Soshe, was threatening that I should be flogged. In a later one, he explained that during the Liberation War, I would have been put in the prone position and flogged because I am a sellout. I am a sellout because I asked whether Chamisa lied. That's absurd. We cannot tolerate that. More so when we remember that MDC CCC were elected by Zimbabweans, risking all to elect them for the primary purpose of implementing the democratic reforms necessary to end the Zanu PF dictatorship. That was the primary purpose. Zanu PF was a party of thugs. They stifled all debate. They used all manner of intimidation, physical violence, destruction to personal properties, lawful arrest and harassment, beatings and killings. And people were risking everything to elect MDC leaders into positions of power and authority for the primary purpose, I repeat, of ending the Zanu PF dictatorship. MDC, when they were launched in 1999, they promised that they would bring about the democratic changes necessary to end the Zanu PF dictatorship. It's now 25 years down the line. We know in 2023 that Zanu PF blatantly rigged the elections, all because MDC, CCC had not implemented even one token reform. Not only that, Zanu PF managed to get away with the rigged elections because Chamisa and company participated in those elections, knowing fully well that the process is flawed, knowing fully well that by participating, they'll give Zanu PF legitimacy. This point we cannot deny. MDC leaders themselves know it. It's not as if it's new. They know it. And so when one turns around and say, well, okay, you guys have got to account why in 24 years you failed to implement even one token reform, why you participated in these flawed elections, knowing fully well that it will give Zanu PF legitimacy. Chamisa lied to the people of Zimbabwe that he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes to entice them to participate in these flawed elections. And when we ask why did you do that? Instead of accounting for it, or if they don't want to, nobody will ever force them to answer questions. At least they have the decency of saying nothing. You turn around and start accusing and threatening those people because they dared ask the question, did Chamisa lie? That cannot be acceptable then. One of the common questions, as can be seen in this WhatsApp text message, is to start accusing people like myself of, oh, for almost 10 years, you refused to support NARA. This is the body that was formed by Tsvangirai for the purposes of implementing the electoral reforms. I said at the time that NARA was not the forum to implement any meaningful reforms. And it was just a waste of time pretending and trying to tell people that it was going to make any meaningful change. And time has proven me wrong. I later on asked our friend if NARA was such an effective body, tell us what democratic reforms it implemented. And he fired back, accusing me of, oh, you didn't support it. It's a pathetic argument. Are we saying here that NARA failed to get even one token reform because one individual, Wilbert Mukori, did not support NARA? That is a foolish argument. Another one of his favorite, him and his friends' favorite argument is that I should offer solutions. What is your solution to the issues of reform? As much as I can offer solutions, what must be appreciated here is that I am in no position of power and authority to implement any reforms. What we should be talking about is people who were in that position and why they failed to implement those reforms and hold them to account. So, in other words, all this getting hot about, oh, you must offer solutions, it's not that they want to hear solutions. They just want to stifle debate. I have to say it, that the people of Zimbabwe have sacrificed a lot. And we're hoping that by now the democratic reforms would have been implemented and Zimbabwe will be a healthy and functioning democracy. I am absolutely furious to note that the nation risked so much and entrusted the task of implementing reforms, sold out, and they failed to implement even one token reform. And worse still, they have now become a Zanu PF Team B in all but name, complete with the dirty tactics of using threats and blackmail to silence, to stifle debate. That is totally unacceptable. And I think the people of Zimbabwe should wake up to that reality. CCC, MDC must be accountable to the people. That is not negotiable. If we can't hold them to account now, when they are not in power, what hope do we have? If they should ever get into power. No chance. Absolutely none. I repeat here and now, that Nelson Chamisa lied when he said he had plugged all the vote-taking loopholes. He conned the people to participate in the flawed elections with disastrous consequences to the nation. He is accountable. And I do not make any apologies for saying so. And I will find it totally unacceptable that people like yourself should try to blackmail and threaten other people, not only myself. The same tactics I know are being used to everybody else out there to stifle debate, to stifle democratic discourse. Change Radio has become no different from ZBC. And you, Kuzvinzwa, as the voice of Change Radio, you must change. Zimbabwe is fighting for democratic change. And while we would want to focus on fighting Zanu PF, we will not hesitate to fight you. If you have decided to become Zanu PF in all but name. Thank you very much. Have a good night.